Thank you. So welcome everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. As Heather said, my name is Terry Geib. I am a director with the Cooperative Memorial Society. And the CMS is a member-owned funeral planning cooperative that serves Albertans ever since 1966. So we've been around for quite a long time. And our focus is on providing affordable funeral arrangements, pre-planning, and consumer advocacy. We're dedicated to ensuring every Albertan has access to dignified end-of-life services through our network of locally owned funeral homes across the province. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a very important topic, 4 critical life and death documents that every adult in Alberta needs. In this short presentation, I'll explore these essential documents that can safeguard your wishes and ensure your loved ones are prepared during any challenges that you might experience in your life, should you become incapacitated for whatever reason, or should you pass away from an illness or accident. And as we all know, we can't predict what that's going to be. I'm going to explain the importance of each document and provide you with some insights and practical tips for their preparation and their use. And while creating these documents requires some effort and expense on your part, they are invaluable investments that will serve you well into the future. Fortunately, the Cooperative Memorial Society can assist you with the hardest part of this process. And on our website, under the Forms and Resources tab, you'll find a useful handout outlining each of these documents. And within our website itself, you'll find more information and links to valuable resources. And I'm also sharing the same information with Heather, so it'll be on the YouTube video. So really, the question is, why should we plan ahead? I often hear, I don't care what happens to me, let my kids decide. But think about it. We did everything in our power, and we do everything in our power to give our children the best lives possible. So why stop now? Planning ahead isn't just practical, it's a gift to our loved ones, and it takes away the burden of making tough decisions during a time of grief. It ensures that your wishes are respected and provides peace of mind for everyone involved. And here's why it matters. First of all, it relieves stress on your family. You don't want them making decisions when they're upset. So decisions can be made when you're calm and clear-headed, preventing emotional chaos later. It helps avoid conflicts. It ensures your possessions and legacy are distributed as you intended, avoiding potential family disputes. And it's ironic how often I hear that people assume they know things when in actuality they have no idea, unless you've had that conversation with them, with your family. They have not necessarily understand what it is that you want. And of course, and probably most importantly, it saves you time and money. Planning ahead can reduce costs and prevent your loved ones from being overwhelmed from financial strain. I get it. The hardest part of thinking about our own mortality is really difficult. Whether from an accident, illness, or natural causes, we all have to deal with it. And while talking about death isn't easy, preparing for it ensures that we continue to protect and care for our family even after we're gone. So no matter where you live, you're going to need these 4 documents in some form, though their names or specific requirements may vary by province or even country. In Alberta, the 4 critical documents you need are, first of all, a personal directive. And I'm going to explain all of these in more detail. An enduring power of attorney, financial plans, and funeral and burial plans. A personal directive, which is sometimes in some places called a living will, is a form that allows you to designate someone that you trust to make personal and medical decisions for you on your behalf if you're unable to do so. This can include decisions about your living arrangements, social interactions, and healthcare. A personal directive only comes into effect if a qualified healthcare professional deems you to lack capacity. It ensures that your personal wishes are followed when that happens, even when you can't express them. And what does lacking capacity mean? It can be physical. So you are unable, you're not cognitively with it to be able to make decisions, or you can't speak, or mental. You haven't got the ability to make those decisions. When preparing your personal directive, it's important that you choose individuals you trust as your agent or personal representative. They should clearly understand your values and wishes and be willing to act upon them regardless of their own interests and beliefs. And this is really, really important because you're not going to have control over it. So you need to be able to trust them. There are forms on the Government of Alberta website that you can use to create your own personal directive, and you can register it with the public guardian. So I did that recently, and it's basically a matter of uploading the document, and then they send you a passcode, and then you verify that the passcode is correct, and then they have a copy of it. You can also upload a copy of your personal directive to your Alberta Health Services My Health Records app. So people that have that app, there is a way to upload it there. It's a little bit convoluted, but we do have directions on our website how to do that. It's also important, if you ever go in for surgery, that you take the personal directive with you. There's that rare chance that it might be needed. So if you have it with you, it just saves that extra step. And also something that a lot of people don't realize is you should keep a copy of it on top of your refrigerator. If EMS was ever to come to your home and you were unable to respond, they will look on top of your fridge for that document. The second document is the enduring power of attorney. It's a legal document that allows someone you trust to make financial decisions for you on your behalf if you're unable to do so. And financial decisions can include, say, selling your home, managing your investments, paying your bills. Unlike a general power of attorney, which is available, an enduring power of attorney remains valid even if you lose capacity. So this is important. You want to make sure you have an enduring power of attorney. Like I said, a regular power of attorney allows someone to handle minor financial matters such as paying your bills and making deposits if you're physically incapacitated or unavailable. And a good example of this would be if you're a snowbird and you go away for the winter and you want someone to manage your home while you're away and pay your bills. They would have just a regular power of attorney. Whereas, as I said, the enduring power of attorney remains in effect even it remains in effect until you revoke it while mentally capable, or until you pass away or the court cancels it. One of the main benefits of an enduring power of attorney is that a person that you appoint can manage your affairs according to your wishes without needing court approval. And as we know, court approvals can be costly and time-consuming. Additionally, an enduring power of attorney reduces family stress by providing clear instructions and avoiding legal battles over who will manage your affairs. When creating your enduring power of attorney, it's crucial to choose someone you trust again and manage naming an alternative in case your first choice cannot act. Quite often we find that people will appoint someone to act on their behalf and perhaps that person passes away, such as a spouse or a child. So you want to have a backup just in case. Or it could be that they've gone on a trip and they're not available when needed. So having a backup's a good idea. There are no regulated forms for an enduring power of attorney. So we advise to have a lawyer draft it to ensure that it meets all legal requirements and accurately reflects your intentions. The third one is financial plans, and this includes a few things. They include things like creating a will, establishing trusts, and organizing your assets. So let me elaborate on how basic financial plans, some of the basic financial plans that you'll need. A will is a legal document that outlines how you want your assets and belongings distributed after your death. It allows you to specify beneficiaries and designate guardians for minors. Having a will ensures your wishes are followed and can simplify the distribution process for your loved ones. If you die without a will, the Alberta Wills and Succession Act sets out how and to whom property is transferred when you pass away. Trusts are legal arrangements where a trustee, which is someone that you appoint, manages your assets on behalf of the beneficiaries according to your instructions. Trusts can be set up during your lifetime, such as living trusts, or through your will, such as testamentary trusts. They are useful for managing assets for minors, individuals with disabilities, or controlling how and when beneficiaries receive assets that you've designated. Organizing your assets through financial and estate planning involves structuring them in a way that aligns with your financial goals and ensures efficient management. Financial planning can also help you set and achieve financial goals, and estate planning can complement that strategy by minimizing taxes and protecting your financial legacy. All of these elements will help you protect and manage your assets during your entire lifetime and ensure they are distributed according to your wishes after your death. Funeral and burial plans. No one wants to make them, but these are important decisions. Deciding on your funeral plans in advance relieves your loved ones from making difficult choices during a time of grief when they might not be able to think clearly. Some decisions you'll need to consider include, do you want a traditional funeral, a memorial service, a celebration of life, or nothing at all? Do you want to be buried or cremated? Do you want to have a casket or an urn, and what type do you prefer? Do you have any specific religious or cultural interests or rituals that you want followed? What music, reading, or speakers do you want for your service? What details do you want in your obituary, and who should be notified? Funerals are expensive and probably much more than people realize, and I always like to give an example. If you were to walk in off the street, a basic cremation will cost you $5,500, and that's just an average price in Calgary. While burials can cost upwards of $75,000 or more with all the bells and whistles. Regardless of whether you're a Cooperative Memorial Society member or not, planning your funeral ahead of time can save you money. If you're a Cooperative Memorial Society member, that same example I gave you where someone walked in and paid $5,500 or $5,000 could cost you less than $2,000. So that's something to consider. Regardless, there's some recommendations we have. We say compare plans and prices from different providers, allowing you to make informed decisions based on cost and quality. Think about your budget and what you want to spend, ensuring you only pay for what you want and need. And consider prepaying to lock in current prices to avoid future cost increases. So you can buy your funeral now, you can put it on a payment plan and pay it over a period of years. And then that cost price is locked in, and then no one has to pay the cost increase down the road. Once you finalize your plans and decisions, it's crucial to communicate them clearly with your family. And it's surprising how many people I talk to who have never had that conversation with their loved ones, and they're on their deathbed and they don't know what they want. And it's a hard conversation starter, but it's not a hard discussion to have. We always say sit down in a relaxed atmosphere and just ask the questions. And there's nothing wrong with asking the questions. They probably will feel relieved to provide you with the answers. Distribute copies of your plans and store the copies in originals in a secure, easily accessible location. If a lot of people want to keep them in a safety deposit box, and if we say that if you do that, make sure that your personal representative or your executor is a joint owner, because they need to be able to get into that box without you being there. On our website under Forms and Resources, you'll find a funeral planning guidance form that you can print off and use to record all the basic information. And if you do nothing else, at least print that off and share it with your family. For your personal directive, as I mentioned earlier, you can upload a copy to the Alberta Services Health Records app, or the My Health Records app. And keep a copy on top of your fridge. And if you're going for surgery, like I said, take it with you. As you go through life, circumstances change and your preferences change. So we say, review your documents periodically. We recommend you revisit them every few years or after significant life events such as marriage, divorce, or the birth of a child. Additionally, update information on your beneficiaries as their lives and contact details change over time. While this process seems daunting, there are many resources available to assist you with creating these plans, including legal professionals, financial advisors, banks, healthcare providers, and families and friends. Additionally, organizations like the Cooperative Memorial Society can offer guidance, support, and discounted prices from locally owned funeral homes across the province. Imagine having peace of mind and knowing your end-of-life plans are already planned. And for just $40, you can become a CMS member and unlock a world of benefits that makes funeral planning easy and stress-free. Our members get access to affordable plans through our trusted locally owned funeral homes across Alberta. And you can register your funeral plans online, which when the time comes, it makes it easy for your family to know exactly what it is that you want. And they simply go to one of our funeral service provider funeral homes and they can look up the information. And your family can avoid making tough decisions under pressure. Our partners will guide them through the process using your pre-planned choices, saving both time and money. With CMS, you're not just getting support for yourself, you're giving support to your family and the ultimate gift of clarity and comfort. And when the time comes, they'll have everything they need to ensure your final farewell is exactly as you had envisioned it. So on behalf of the Cooperative Memorial Society and Unison, I want to thank you for joining me today, and I will now open it up to any questions that you might have.
Wonderful. That was it was quick, but that was a lot of information. That was definitely a lot of information. So we have one question here. It says, if you upload your personal directive to My Health Alberta, make sure your agent knows your login information if it's necessary to access. That's a really good point. And I have a couple of questions around, your personal representative. Some people are just like, oh, well, my kids will do it. But are they always the best option?
It's interesting that you say that because that is our first reflex is to appoint our kids. And you have to think about your particular children. You may have one child who is extremely organized and very proficient at doing paperwork. And you may have one that is extremely creative and not so proficient at doing paperwork. Mm-hmm. And the actual process of being a personal representative is very cumbersome. And on our website, we have checklists and all the things that you have to do. And it's a lot of work. And so we always say there's a lot of things that you have to consider. That person might not live here. That person may be too busy. They may have a young family that they're dealing with at the time. Is it really fair to ask them to go to all that work and effort on your behalf? There's some options available. You can hire a personal representative, and the prices are quite affordable. So that's something to look at. But I would say have the conversation with your children and ask them, do you want to be the personal representative? And this is what's involved in doing it. And if they feel confident that they can do it, then yes, by all means. But if they don't feel comfortable, then I would say it's better to find somebody else to assist them. They can still provide guidance, but have someone else do the work.
So definitely you need to find the right personality to be able to do it.
Exactly.
We just had a presentation on downsizing not too long ago, I guess last week. And they were talking about, who you think will be able to help you. It might not be there to help you because you're right. Life circumstances do change. And I hadn't considered having an alternative to to the person. So how does that work? If you're going to name an alternative, and what was it? The enduring power of attorney, there's no specific forms for that. So you need to go to a lawyer.
Right.
So would you have
So,
that information in there? Like
yes.
how do you give the extra person?
You
Like
can, on the form, you can actually say who the backup is. You can appoint more than one person. So you can have two people, and a lot of people appoint two children that they might have. And so there's an actual form that is used that say that you have two children, one lives in one end of the country and the other lives in the same city as you. You may want to have both appointed because it's just something that parents want to do, but the form can be used so that one waives the rights and gives the permission to the other one to act as the primary personal representative. So there
okay.
are forms that can be used for that purpose.
Okay. Let's see. So somebody suggested that they live in the same province. Um, if you're doing a personal representative, if your children or your family live in another part of the country, is it possible to hire somebody with like to I guess take care of the paperwork, but be in communication with your children?
Absolutely. So the Office of the Public Trustee is a good place to contact for something like that. And they can provide people to assist with that. You can also contact places like banks, your financial institution, and they can advise you on that. So there are different options available. A lawyer is often someone that can do that as well. So if you have your own lawyer, I would talk to them. Um, so like I said, there's many different options. Again, even a person that lives in a different part of the province can still do an effective job, especially now that so much work is done online and doesn't need to be done in person. But they may, require the assistance of somebody that lives in the same place as you. And you have to remember, when you pass away, it's your personal representative who makes the decisions about your funeral. So they are the person that needs to go into the funeral home and make the arrangements. So having someone close by is beneficial, but not impossible.
Okay. Okay. Um, we had somebody ask about uh, discounted. See if I can find it here. Sorry. Oh, no, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Discounted caskets. So somebody's saying that they don't typically have discounted caskets on their floor when you go into the funeral homes. And they're asking if your organization in the future will have more casket options.
So basically, when you go into a funeral home, and it's any funeral home, they only have a limited amount of space to put caskets out. So they will usually put a range of different caskets out there. And so you can ask to see what other casket offerings they have. You can also bring your own casket. You don't have to buy from the funeral home. You can go online and purchase one. They will make you sign a waiver that says you release them of any responsibility should the casket fall apart. But that's something you certainly can do. And believe it or not, Costco and Walmart sell caskets, so
No way.
you can look at.
Wow.
Um, with the Cooperative Memorial Society, our service providers have specific caskets that we use for our members because they're lower cost options. So if you look at our plans, there are caskets shown there. So there is a variety of options out there for you.
All right. Let's see. What happens if you prepay for your funeral arrangements and the funeral company goes out of business?
When you pay for a funeral with any funeral service provider, that money is held in trust. So it's not held by the funeral home. So that whoever that holds that trust money, um, if you were to go to and the funeral home folded, you can go to a different funeral home and say that you have the money held in trust, and they will be able to uh, open that up and get access to that money to provide you with the service that's there. You can also cancel funeral plans that you've made in years previous, although you'll only get back the money that you paid into it. So your face value will have the cost of the service has probably escalated over those years. So you want to be careful if you do that, because you might have paid $2,000 for a funeral that is now $10,000. And if you wanted to just add an additional service on, it may be cheaper just to add that additional service on rather than canceling the first plan and buying a second plan. That makes sense.
Yep. What's the difference between an enduring power of attorney and a regular power of attorney?
So like I said, the regular power of attorney is used for temporary purposes. So the example I gave was if you're a snowbird, you're going down to the States for the winter, you want someone to pay your bills while you're gone, you would have a regular power of attorney that's appointing them for a specific period of time. An enduring power of attorney allows someone to make decisions for you if you're incapacitated for whatever period of time that is. So it's enduring. It goes on forever.
Okay. Oh, I've got a cable in the way. Hang on. Do you meet with your funeral home to go over your funeral plans before or after a will is made up?
I guess that's whatever you want to do. We always suggest that everybody has a will from whatever age you decide that you should have a will when you're 18. Whenever you have assets that you want to distribute, should you pass away, that's when you want to have a will. You may not be thinking about funeral plans at that point in time. So what we say is, you can go on our website and look at the funeral planning information, fill out a funeral planning guidance form, which answers some of the basic questions about whether you want burial or cremation, sort of that list of questions that I went through. And you can have that information decided upon before you go to the funeral home. And then we advise when you're ready to start the next step of the journey, and people will often do this when they get older, or they're sick, or they're going for surgery or whatever. Then they might go to the funeral home and they want to make more concrete plans. Then they would go in, because then you're talking specifics,
Okay.
more details around each of the different features that you want to have.
Okay. Are handwritten wills effective and hold up in Alberta?
I would definitely get a legal opinion on that. And the answer is yes. I believe they're called holographic wills, and they are legal, but there are certain parameters around them, and not all provinces allow them. And so you have to be careful if you travel. If you're not going to be in the province, you might be somewhere else. So I wouldn't rely on it. There are all different kinds of alternatives for getting wills. There are will kits. There are, legal wills that you can get. So I would look into some of the different options that are available to you, and ensure, it never hurts to run it by a lawyer afterwards, even if you're not doing the will through the lawyer in the first place.
Okay. Okay. Great questions, everybody. Keep them coming. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, one last question about the power of attorney. If you have an enduring power of attorney, but then you have a short-term power of attorney, because you're a snowbird,
Right.
how does that work? Like, if you've got different people on like, is the enduring power of attorney just supersede the other one?
It would depend on the circumstances. When you have a regular power of attorney, you're putting it in place for a specific reason. So if you were to pass away and then the enduring power of attorney kicks in, that original one's not going to apply anymore.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that you'd have to look at the specific situation.
Okay. Last chance for questions, everyone.
One of the things I like to suggest to people, as more and more people travel around the world, and a lot of people don't realize this, one of the things we recommend is, if you don't have coverage through your health plan, and not all health plans, travel plans provide this, is to look at getting repatriation insurance for travelers. So if you were going down to Europe or something, say for a couple of weeks, and you were to pass away, the costs of a funeral and burial or whatever to repatriate the body back to Canada is astronomical, in tens of thousands of dollars. So what
Oh,
we
wow.
advise is that you get the repatriation insurance, which costs about $600 for a lifetime. And if you travel, it's going to cover you wherever you are. It's 100 kilometers from where you live. So we say get that insurance because they will bring your body back to the funeral home where you live, and it's going to be a huge cost savings. So that's just a little tip.
Yes. Any other little tips? That was a good one. I wouldn't have thought of that.